Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the grand finale of the People's Budget. This is a 2025 edition, and we would like to thank each and every one of you for making time to come and witness this occasion. We have big prizes up for grabs today for our contestants who have gone through weeks of training for them to get to where they are today. Before we get to that, I'd like to make a special mention to CTPD for making this possible with their partners, Tax Justice Network Africa, Diakonia, also part of those partners that have been with us through this journey. With that mentioned, I would like to recognize the presence of members of the Presidential Delivery Unit who are present with us here today, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning as well, here this morning. To just give us our opening remarks this morning, I would like to welcome from CTPD, Natalie Kaunda, who is the Head of Advocacy at CTPD. A round of applause as she makes her way to the podium.
I will start by saying that our Executive Director would definitely have loved to be here. This is the 5th edition of the People's Budget Contest, with the first one having been in 2021. For CTPD, we take particular interest in young people, and you would notice even the core for this particular contest was essentially young people aged between 18 and 35, because for us, when we're talking about inclusive growth, when we're talking about sustainable development, we are saying we are not leaving young people behind, because this is what inclusive growth looks like. And obviously, when we're talking about development processes such as the national budget, conversations around transparency, around budget, obviously effectiveness, this is not a conversation that can be done with the exclusion of young people like ourselves. I'd like to welcome you this morning, and I do hope that we'll be able to enjoy, much as it is a serious process for the finalists. For every one of us, it's very, very fun to watch as well. So please enjoy the contest, and thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you very much, Natalie. I'd also like to call upon representing the BBC Media Action, a partner to the People's Budget. I'd like to call upon Mr. Mutuna Chanda. He's Programs Manager, TDF, and FCDO. He's with us today. Please, I would like to welcome you to just address us this morning. A round of applause as he makes his way to the podium.
Now, the Deepening Democracy Facility, like Peter said, is supported by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, which is FCDO. And it's a project that is running up to March 2026, and it is anchored on 4 key objectives. I'll speak to them in looking at what the People's Budget stands for and the partnership that is defined between CTPD, Diakonia, and the DDF. One of the objectives is to reform and strengthen key democratic institutions. And in this particular instance, the Ministry of Finance, whom I believe some of you come from, the Ministry of Finance is a key democratic institution because it is in charge of presiding over the national budget and obviously is in charge of resource allocation. Now, the Ministry of Finance, and the way it is structured, the budget is sort of taken to the people for people to have their say in the budgeting process. It is opened up to the different sectors and also for people on an annual basis to be able to make their contributions or suggestions as to what they want to see in the national budget. And it takes me to the next objective, which is about deepening citizens' participation. By the Ministry of Finance structuring the budgeting process in that way, it enables citizens such as you and me to participate in making suggestions as to what we want to see in our national budget. For us, as the Deepening Democracy Facility, this is a very key step because it allows citizens to be able to participate in the country's democratic process. Another objective of the Deepening Democracy Facility is to expand and protect the civic space. And this basically entails that people should be able to have their say in governance matters. And what the People's Budget, led by CTPD, is doing is enabling young people to be able to have their say in matters of what they think should be priority in the country's national budget.
At this point in time, I would like to ask everybody to be upstanding as we welcome our guest of honor from the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Joining us this morning is Assistant Director Langani Piri. Ms. Langani Piri is joining us. She is Domestic and International Taxes Unit. Please, may we be upstanding as we welcome our guest of honor to the podium.
In my personal capacity, I'm excited to be here. I look around and I'm thinking, have I ever been this young? The Executive Director, Center for Trade Policy and Development, representatives of various government ministries, cooperating partners, civil society organizations, distinguished participants, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am honored to officiate at this grand finale of the People's 2026 Budget Contest, held under the theme From Recovery to Resilience, Making Growth Work for All. You will note that this comes at a pivotal time in our nation's journey towards sustainable and inclusive economic development. May I commend the Center for Trade Policy and Development for organizing this very important event, which could not have come at a better time than this, when the country is expectant to the proposed 2026 national budget, scheduled to be presented on 26 September 2025. I am duly informed that support for this event has been rendered by the Tax Justice Network Africa and Diakonia. Your joint effort clearly demonstrates the importance that is attached to budgeting matters of this country and the opportunity given to youth to showcase their ideas on budgeting matters of the nation. The participants of the youths in the contest demonstrates the innovative spirit and commitment of our young people who represent the future leaders and policymakers of Zambia. I must say, ladies and gentlemen, that it exemplifies the spirit of participatory governance and democratic engagement, providing our citizens with a platform to contribute innovative ideas towards shaping Zambia's national budget. I trust that the insightful presentations will contribute to shaping a national budget that not only reflects fiscal discipline, but also promotes equitable development and shared prosperity. With these few remarks, it is now my pleasure and honor to declare the People's 2026 Budget Contest Grand Finale officially opened. I thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've now come to why we're all here. Season 5 of the People's Budget Grand Finale. We're about to find out who is going home with the 20,000 kwacha as the winner of the People's Budget and who is going home as the runner-up with 10,000 kwacha. Let me welcome our first 2 contestants to step up to the podium. Honorable Divine Chorasha, please step up to the podium. Honorable Lansman Daka, please step up to the podium. Round of applause for our 2 contestants.
Honorable Speaker, under Part 1, macroeconomic developments, global growth is projected at 3.0% in 2025 from 3.2% in 2024. Under domestic economic developments, Madam Speaker, projected GDP growth for 2025 is at 5.8%. Key drivers for this growth is the rebound in the mining sector and agriculture sector, as well as continued performance in the ICT and services sector. On inflation, Madam Speaker, the inflation rate has been steadily declining from 16.69% in January 2025 to 12.6% in August 2025, indicating a progress towards economic stabilization. The Bank of Zambia's monetary policy rate currently stands at 14.5% as of mid-2025. I will now summarize the performance of the 2025 budget. The 2025 budget was approved at 217.1 billion kwacha, but during the year, an additional 33.6 billion was authorized, with 11 billion requested for loans and investments to help dismantle outstanding fuel arrears and 105 million kwacha to disaster mitigation. Madam Speaker, allow me to speak on debt. Our current debt to GDP ratio remains elevated at 95.3%, which is, however, the first time it has gone below 100% in a really long time. This is following successful restructuring of our external debt, which stands at approximately $23 billion as of end of 2024. Under macroeconomic objectives, government has set up the following: attain real GDP growth of at least 6.2%, reduce inflation to a single digit around 9%, bringing us closer to the 6 to 8% target band, maintain international reserves about 3.5 months of import cover, as well as limit net domestic borrowing to 1.5% of GDP. Honorable Speaker, allow me to move to part 2, which is the budget. Honorable Speaker, the proposed budget for 2026 is 236.8 billion kwacha. Out of this amount, 193.4 billion, that is 81.7% of the budget, will be financed by domestic revenue, 8.3 billion kwacha from grants, and 35.1 billion kwacha will be financed from borrowing. Madam Speaker, to unlock the potential of idle public land and ensure it contributes to our economic transformation, government will introduce a structured public land leasing program. This initiative will prioritize agricultural, housing, and industrial developments under transparent and competitive arrangements. This is expected to generate 2 billion kwacha in lease fees in 2026. To strengthen environmental protection and accountability, government will introduce and enforce environmental compliance fees on commercial enterprises whose operations have significant ecological impact. These fees will support monitoring, enforcement, and remediation activities by ZEMA. Fees imposed on commercial enterprises with significant ecological impact will raise an estimated 500 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, the measures I have outlined are projected to generate an additional 5.9 billion in 2026. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the task before us here is clear. Madam Speaker, this budget will ensure that growth is not only recorded in economic reports, but felt in the daily lives of our people. Rome was not built in a day, and neither will Zambia's growth be achieved overnight. This budget lays that foundation for growth and is the cornerstone upon which future budgets will build on, each adding strength, sustainability, and opportunity for our people. I now lay before this august house and to the people of Zambia the 2026 budget. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Honorable Chorasha, thank you very much for that presentation. Honorable members of this house, I throw it to you. If you have any question or contribution to what has been presented here, now is your time. Please, just by show of hand, I will have a mic sent to your table. If you have a question or contribution to what has been presented now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that presentation. I think my interest is the allocation that you have increased on the constituency development fund, noting that we've had a lot of challenges in terms of the implementation of the 2025 CDF, and there are a lot of defaults, and we are continuing to increase the CDF. How do you intend to manage the CDF if we cannot actually work on the effective way of implementation of the CDF at community level?
Thank you very much for that question. CDF allocation has been a very big problem for the people in constituencies, and for that particular reason, we're going to have quarterly reports of CDF and how it has been given out to the people. We'll also give the people of each constituency a platform to voice out their concerns and cries about how CDF is being insufficient or being swindled without them being assisted. Once we all have these reports, all parties and offices that are responsible for distributing these CDFs will be fired effectively, efficiently, so that we put parties that care about the people.
All right, I've taken note of the other hands that have been raised, but because of time, I will make sure to point at you first for the next presentation. I've taken note of that. We have to get into our next presentation. Honorable Chorasha, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much. We now move on to Honorable Wiseman Daka. The floor is yours.
One Zambia, one nation. Countrymen, women, and the youth. Madam Speaker, I, Wiseman Daka, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, have the honor to present before this august House the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the Republic of Zambia for the fiscal year 1st January to 31st December 2026. Madam Speaker, this budget comes at a defining moment in our nation's journey. We have weathered the storms of debt distress and endured the harsh realities of historic drought. Yet, out of these trials emerges an opportunity, not to merely recover, but to transform. Madam Speaker, the task before us is to consolidate our hard-won progress and deliberately build an economy that is resilient against shocks, self-reliant in its foundations, and inclusive in its rewards. Madam Speaker, an economy where growth is not a statistic, but a shared experience felt by every Zambian in every household and in every constituency. It is in this spirit that the 2026 national budget is built under the theme as an economic journey from recovery to resilience, making growth work for all. Madam Speaker, to guide our nation towards resilience and inclusive growth, government has set the following macroeconomic objectives for the fiscal year 2026. Real GDP growth projected at 7%, which will be driven by a full recovery in agriculture, sustained expansion in mining, and targeted support to the manufacturing and tourism sector. Inflation to be maintained within the tax band or target band of 6 to 8%. Domestic revenue mobilization increase by 22.5% of GDP, reducing our reliance on external financing. Fiscal deficit to be limited to 2.5% of GDP, ensuring debt sustainability, and international reserves to be maintained at above 4 months of import cover. Madam Speaker, the government proposes a total budget of 246.8 billion kwacha for the fiscal year 2026. In a decisive move toward fiscal sovereignty, we project that 90% of this budget, amounting to 222.1 billion kwacha, will be financed domestically to meet the global standard of 80% at the moment. Madam Speaker, countrymen, women, and the youth, the path ahead demands discipline, creativity, and unwavering unity. This budget offers that framework. With the commitment of this House and the Zambian people, we will continue building a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient nation for this generation and those to come. God bless you, and God bless Zambia. Thank you.
May I have the mic sent to the table here? I did promise to start from there.
Now, our national target for the country on agric, one of the main one is in maize production. And our target currently is we want to achieve a 10 million metric tons by 2031 of maize production. As at now, our highest has been 3.65, which we did this year. So from the budget that we have presented, I wanted to hear the strategies that we have put in place to ensure that between now and 2031, we are able to rise to that 10 million. So that means we have about 6.5 deficit for us to reach that target. Please, if you could answer that one.
Okay, thank you so much for those two questions. So the first one was directed to the agricultural sector to say how do we meet above the set target. Well, if you may allow me to refer to my speech, I did mention that in the agricultural sector, we will focus on diversifying. Yes, maize at the moment is our current main crop being grown around the country. Hence, we need to diversify the FISIP package. At the moment, it only comprises of maize, legumes, and the other two. But if we are to include soybean, sunflower, and other crops, so that we ensure all year-round production, and not only that, we are so reliant on rain-fed agriculture. Why don't we diversify to sinking borehole in regions where we know there is low rainfalls in the country? Not only that, we can also utilize the CDF fund allocation to utilize those monies as they are currently underutilization to sink boreholes for cooperatives, not only cooperatives, but also for districts and constituencies and Zambia at large. Hence, by ensuring all year-round production, and not only production for food security, but also for exportation to increase our GDP as a country. I answer in that regard on the agriculture sector. Thank you.
Let's welcome the next set of our Finance Minister and National Planning. May I please invite to the podium Honorable Anna Chanda and Honorable Cornelius Chola. A round of applause for them as they take to the podium. Please let's encourage them a bit louder. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the two honorable ministers in front of us, you know the rules here, 15 minutes to get your points across, to get through your budget, and you'll get some questions asked to you by the audience that we have here this morning. We'll start by listening to Honorable Anna Chanda, who is presenting her budget speech for today for the year 2026.
Greetings, countrymen and women. Madam Speaker, my name is Anna Chanda, the Minister of Finance and National Planning. Madam Speaker, as of August 2025, the Zambia's Lusaka Securities Stock Exchange emerged as the world's best performing stock market with an all-share index surged by 14.3% in August 2025. That is by 56% in Kwacha terms or 84% in United States dollars terms. Madam Speaker, this has placed Zambia ahead of all other markets worldwide. Now, what does this mean for us? This means investor attraction and confidence in our economy. Madam Speaker, following the commissioning of the fertilizer granulating line and the fertilizer blending line, with both being operational, fertilizer production has surged from 70,000 metric tons to 432,000 metric tons. With these huge productions, this means our reliance on fertilizer imports is hugely reduced. With reduced imports dependency, Madam Speaker, local production means farmers will have more access to fertilizer, especially in times of global uncertainty. And Zambia now has the capacity to export fertilizer to its neighbors, earning foreign exchange and strengthening food securities across the region. Madam Speaker, we are not leaving anyone behind, and indeed, our target remains growth for all Zambians. Madam Speaker, I now move on to the second part of my address, which is the proposed estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 2026. Madam Speaker, the 2026 budget is being presented with a strategic direction of the 8th National Development Plan and macroeconomic targets of GDP growth at 6.9%, inflation reduction to the 6 to 8% target band, reduce fiscal deficit management to 3.1% of GDP, and increase domestic revenue to at least 25% of our gross domestic product. Countrymen and women, Madam Speaker, it is for this reason that I present to you the 2026 budget under the theme From Recovery to Resilience, Making Growth Work for All. Madam Speaker, in 2026, government proposes to spend 220 billion kwacha, or 77% of the GDP. Out of this amount, 175 billion of this budget, or 80.7%, will be financed by domestic revenues, while 8.2 billion, or 3.8%, will be grants from our cooperating partners, and the remaining 33.6 billion, or 15.5%, will be from external financing. Madam Speaker, I now move on to the key sector areas and the proposed estimates of expenditure for the year 2026. I further, Madam Speaker, propose an increase on excess duty on spirits and wines. I propose to increase the current 80% to 85%. Madam Speaker, I propose a raise in excess duty per 1,000 stick cigarettes from 750 kwacha to 850 kwacha. Madam Speaker, on non-tax revenue measures, I propose to increase fees of foreign artists to 6,000 kwacha for SADC-based artists and 18,000 kwacha for non-SADC-based artists. Our goal is to provide measures, solutions, and strategies that not only address today's challenges, but solutions that bring generational economic development to our country. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Speaker, we are leaving no one behind. I beg to submit, and I thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. All right, it's now time for you to ask your questions, if we have any questions in the house.
Mine, I just want to get clarity because you talked about taxation of the informal sector. This has been a very critical issue in terms of trying to extend, taxation to the informal sector. You mentioned something to do with incentives that you're going to provide to bring in the informal sector. But I didn't hear you clearly on some of the strategies that you want to use to bring the informal sector into the tax plan. So maybe clarity on that around the next.
All right, thank you so much. So, as ministry, we did do a survey, and one of the challenges that we did pick out from in terms of the informal sector is the issue of books of accounts. So, as basic as it may sound, others actually do not understand the process on how taxation works, because for them it is a whole robust process and a whole huge financing burden on them. So number one, as an alternative, as government, our commitment is firstly to engage the informal sector on why it is necessary that they are also included in our taxation system, number one. And then number two, the fear for most of businesses is that just as at the beginning of their venture of the business, it's in terms of their charges when it comes to registration. But they also need to understand the different registration amounts or financing bills that are attached, that they are dependent on the type of business that one owns. Because remember, the informal sector is a diversity. It's just not one type of business. So as a ministry, like I stated earlier, we have not yet started tapping into the informal sector resource mobilization, but we want to take that step because we feel like there's a potential that it can also add to our resource mobilization basket. Engagement is the first step that we'll take, and we'll get somewhere. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there, Honorable Chanda. We're gonna go to our final presentation for today. Let's all pay attention to Honorable Cornelius Chola as he presents his 2026 budget.
Greetings, countrymen and women. My name is Cornelius Chola, the Minister of Finance and National Planning. Madam Speaker, in response to this recovering economy, we propose to spend 245 billion kwacha in the 2026 fiscal year. This budget is a blueprint for action. It aims to mitigate the effects of the drought, maintain this year's bumper harvest, decisively address the energy crisis, and critically encourage domestic resource mobilization and job creation. This, Madam Speaker, is our firm commitment to the nation. A budget that transitions us from recovery to resilience. A budget that will power production for a welder in Kawe, empower a farmer in Vubwi, and enhance the education of a child in Nalolo district. This is how we ensure that the growth we build works for every single citizen. Madam Speaker, I will now present the budget in three parts. In part one, I present the macroeconomic goals and strategies for 2026. In part two, I provide key estimates of revenue and expenditure, while in part three, I conclude my address. Macroeconomic objectives. To be on the right economic trajectory, government has set the following key macroeconomic objectives for 2026. 1. Attain a real GDP growth rate of at least 6.2%. 2. Reduce inflation to the target band of 6 to 8%. 3. Reduce the fiscal deficit to 2.8% of GDP. 4. Increase domestic revenue to at least 25.8% of GDP. As you may be aware, it had been difficult for Smart Invoice to be fully implemented and actualized in areas like cross-border trading and filling stations. But through the Zambia Revenue Authority, we will continue implementing and enhancing the Smart Invoice system to broaden our tax base and boost tax compliance, as well as keeping VAT refund frauds. With those improved VAT measures, we expect to raise 55 billion kwacha. The numbers are clear, the path is set, and the mission is non-negotiable. Now, let us roll up our sleeves, hold each other accountable, and deliver results for every Zambian as we build a resilient and more prosperous nation. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. I thank you.
At this particular time, I'm going to invite one of our poets to come and give us a poem, and thereafter we'll have our cultural ensemble to just come and give us a piece as well, as we give a chance to the judges to compile the results.
To the youths whose life is all about love affairs, meanwhile they know nothing about national affairs. Shame. To those who are all about romantic dates, meanwhile we know nothing about national debt. Shame. To those who are always whining about your BF and GF, meanwhile you know nothing about IMF and CDF. Shame. To those who have crippled their potential by always giving lame excuses about your apathy in participation, this nation has too many youths with the mentality of a doormat. The budget is art. The budget is tourism. The budget is the art of social cash transfer. The budget is you. The budget is me, Anyamada, Asikana, Imisepela, the youths. Let us be in the right comment sections. Let us join committee sessions. Let us follow the right channels and make our own panels, because the budget is us. Creed. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've now come to why we're all here. Season 5 of the People's Budget Grand Finale. We're about to find out who is going home with the 20,000 kwacha as the winner of the People's Budget, and who is going home as the runner-up with 10,000 kwacha. I'd like to invite our guest of honor to just come to the front to just help us with, handing over the prizes. I would also ask Mr. Chanda to just come to the front. I'm going to invite Malama Mkonde, who is one of the judges, to just explain to us what criteria they were using today to select this winner. So tell us, how did you come up with today's top 2?
Right, so there was a lot of things, little details also we're looking out for with today. It's in execution, confidence. It's all part of how much did the minister in question understand about their budget? What were the considerations that they put in? Was it realistic? Did it make sense? Is it something that the Ministry of Finance can, go back to the office and say, oh, Honorable, I think we can add this too, can it inspire such change? So there were all those things that we were looking for. Delivery also very important, even if you don't know the right answer, but can you do what politicians do best? Give us an answer, at least, so there were all those details that we were looking out for. So we're happy, I believe, with the top two.
We are going to find out which one of you is actually going to go home with the grand prize today. It's been weeks of all of you guys putting in the work, and now we've come to a point where we have to make a decision. Honorable Chorasha, Honorable Daka, Honorable Chanda, Honorable Chola. The first person in second place, walking away with 10,000 kwacha today, is going home with 10,000 kwacha today is Honorable Anna Chanda. A round of applause for Anna. Huge round of applause for you. Congratulations, Anna, congratulations. Please take a picture. A huge congratulations to you, congratulations. Anna is in second place for the People's Budget.
Thank you so much. So funny as it may sound, but make I mention that I'm actually a 60th year medical student. So this was like a course for me. So thank you so much. I'm actually very proud of myself that I was able to understand the economics around our national budget. And hey, we got this. So thank you so much.
And now, for the winner of the People's Budget. Honorable Chorasha, this is your second attempt at this. You tried it, it didn't work. Honorable Chola, your second attempt as well. You tried it, it didn't work. Unfortunately, the journey ends here for Chorasha. You are not the winner for the People's Budget. Good attempt. A round of applause to him, please. You may take your seat. Wiseman Daka and Cornelius Chola. We've come through the weeks together. We've gone to garden markets together to collect data of certain meetings where you guys were trained and you listened to experts tell you how this budget is put together. You all deserve to be here. You all deserve all the knowledge that you've acquired, and we hope to see you again next year if you're not the one winning this. The winner of the People's Budget for this year, 2025, who presented the budget for 2026 is Cornelius Chola. Round of applause for you, Cornelius Chola. You win yourself 20,000 kwacha. A huge congratulations to you. Second time running, and now you have it in the bag. Congratulations, congratulations. Please just face that camera and take some pictures. Congratulations. Chola, please come and say a few words to everybody here.
I'm actually short of words. But I would like to appreciate my family and friends who have been with me throughout this journey. They were not only a source of motivation, but also a source of inspiration. I owe a lot to them. And for CTPD and their partners, Diakonia and Tax Network Africa, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for putting up such a wonderful competition where us, the youth, can actually involve ourselves in economic matters. And for my fellow contestants, please know that I'm not a winner, but part of the winners. We, the 9 of us, in this, the 10 of us, are all winners. And I wish we'll again cross paths as we put ahead the national agenda. I thank everyone.
So let's all just welcome Natalie Kaunda back to close for us this afternoon. Natalie, a round of applause for her, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Peter. And congratulations to our winners today. I think this is usually a, bittersweet, heartfelt moment for some of us because we do get used to all the candidates throughout the course of the contest. But of course, it doesn't mean that anybody has lost. I think at CTPD, nobody loses. We are all just, giving people an opportunity this time. Next year, it would be somebody else. From the winners that we've seen already, we are noting that these are people who have contested over 2 to 3 times. So it's not the end. Please do join our contest even as we advertise next year. But I also just wanted to highlight that CTPD does have a youth network. It's called the Young Professionals Network. So everybody who takes part in our contest has an opportunity to join this network of young people. In this way, you keep connected to all the work that we are doing and you continue engaging with us on different work streams that we are currently undertaking. So all the 9, 10 contestants, you are welcome and we do invite you to join our Young Professionals Network. With these few remarks, I thank you all for coming. Again, recognizing the support from our cooperating partners, that's Diakonia and Tax Justice Network Africa. I do extend our appreciation to the Ministry of Finance for making it possible to be a part of this contest finale with us today. All the government ministries, departments, media, CSO partners, and the PDU, thank you so much for joining us. I do recognize BBC Media Action as well, a partner in the cause. Thank you so much for being with us today.
All right, we're here at the grand finale of People's Budget Season 5 with the Season 5 winner, Cornelius Chola. Cornelius, how are you feeling?
Of course, I'm happy, but at the moment, I'm just over my emotions. So
okay.
You understand the feeling.
What did you do to prepare for today? Because today was going to be different. A live audience, judges just laying back and other people giving opinions. How did you prepare for today?
Okay, so I think I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research. I should emphasize on that. I looked at budgets as far as 2013, 2012, just to get exactly how the formation and everything comes to play in terms of coming up with the final budget. So I think I did a lot of research and it really helped me.
Was there a moment when you were presenting and you thought, I think I have this in the bag. I think I've won it.
Yes. I think the audience were really great. They really inspired me. There were times when they would motivate me actually to improve my pace, my speech and all that. So I felt that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the plan? 20,000 kwacha.
We'll talk about it later.
I thought you said, let me budget. Congratulations. All the best with everything that you plan on doing beyond this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Sure.
You're welcome. There you have it. That's our winner. 2025 People's Budget competition right here. We're the People's Budget Grand Finale, and we're with the runner-up here. Anna is the runner-up. Anna Chanda. Describe your emotion. How are you feeling?
Honestly, I'm all excited, put together. Excited, emotional, grateful, proud, and I think I'm happy, honestly. I mean, there's cash involved.
Obviously. You were the only female in the final, by the way. Other females fell off during the course of the season. How was your... Just run us through how you prepared for this, knowing that you're coming up against very, very strong contenders.
So honestly, for me, getting to this point wasn't because I was female. For me, getting to this point was because I put in the work, I put in the effort, and deserved to reach this far. Because obviously my work and my effort has shown in the previous episodes. But obviously, there was that fear that I'm standing up against very powerful men who understand these issues. And, being the only lady, I needed to prove quite a lot. How did I reach this far? I needed to stand out. So, yeah, but I think it was a really good run. A very good learning curve, I should say.
I remember in episode 4, when you were giving your budget presentation and I was keeping the time and whatnot, and I told you to stop at a certain point. You didn't finish presenting all you had. But today when I saw you the whole pamphlet of papers, I'm like, she's come prepared.
Yes.
Just run us through your, how you prepared for this final budget speech.
Okay. So after the last episode, just before us proceeding with the grand finale, I think I had rested for like a few days. I started my preparations actually 4 days ago. So it's been a 4-day preparation. I was done preparing my budget today at 2. That's when I said, okay, I think we are set. So it's honestly been a marathon of so many papers, of so many research, because obviously it had to be different. It was a grand finale, it wasn't like any other episode.
Yes.
I needed to do a lot of research, and like I stated earlier, I'm a medical student. So there has been a lot of consultations from economists, from people who really understand this thing, like what does this mean, what does inflation do to us, how can I go about that and whatnot. It took in the energy, the commitment, and the effort, but yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making time. Thank you for coming through to the grand finale of season 5 of The People's Budget. I thank you.